Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonia Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got the lovely Josie, who is from Nelly's Nest. Hello, Josie.
Hi, Sonia.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. But thank you for coming in to the studio here for Business Spotlight. Now, Josie, what is Nelly's Nest and where did it come from?
So, Nelly's Nest, it's pretty much an umbrella term for all things neurodiversity, inclusivity in Staffordshire and Cheshire. It came from a bit of frustration, really, from finding that local schools, businesses, colleges had a lack of understanding of what neurodiversity really was. I mean, we breeze past it as part of like our education, but I just think the true core and the values of what neurodiversity is were being slightly missed. So a bit of frustration. From that, I started creating storybooks for children for them to read within their classrooms, and then from that creating educational resources, and all the way from back then it's now stemmed into a big business where we provide help and support for neurodiverse people seeking diagnoses, families. We create safe spaces at events, and one of the main things that we do at the minute is go into businesses, colleges and schools, and we give either assemblies, lessons or training to the staff on what neurodiversity truly is.
And, you know, from what you're saying there, Josie, it is about what you do with Nelly's Nest and everything, is about bringing more awareness to neurodiversity. But what are you finding, or what have you faced as you've been doing Nelly's Nest that really are the barriers in communicating about neurodiversity, whether it is to a school or whether it is to a business in the local area?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, one of the main barriers that I've found as a business doing what I do is getting my emails read. I think a lot of people lack an understanding that it is in their offices, it is in their classrooms, it is in their schools. And the first thing that I have to overcome is getting that email read and saying, it's hitting a massive demographic. There's so many people that are either impacted or have met someone that are impacted by neurodiversity, and it's so out there that it's not wide enough spread that we need to know that what it looks like, what it is, what it means, and how we can treat people with more compassion. So that's one of the main barriers as a business. But I think businesses don't understand it, so they're limiting themselves. If you've got someone, for example, that might be an absolute whiz in the business, I've spoke to people before that can do 10 spreadsheets in the same time, and you're a typical person can do one, but they would never pass that first recruitment process because they're not a great talker. They don't hold eye contact, or they might come across quite blunt because of the neural connectivity and the struggle with them executive function pathways. But all that means is that they struggle in communicating, but it doesn't mean they struggle in the job once they're in it. And I think business limits what they're able to achieve through only having one direct route of recruitment, or when they're in the business not understanding it enough. And there's a fine line, I think, Sonia, between using people that are neurodivergent to your advantage and making sure they're comfortable in their environment, and making sure that they can enjoy their role to make them more productive. Yeah. And then a very fine line between exploitation. So then you do find where businesses are like, well, they're not a great talker, but they can do loads of Excel documents, they can fill out in a spreadsheet, and you've got one person doing 10 in the same time as someone's doing one on the same wage. And that's why we work with businesses to say, can we make this person take a step up? Can they be training? Can they be teaching what they know? Can they be taking a step in their role so that they're getting the right amount of respect and what's the word, like support for what they're doing, basically.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, about the recruitment process, which could easily be that first barrier for a business actually, recruiting somebody who's neurodivergent.
Exactly.
But what would you say then, or suggest, could be done? And are you aware of anything at the moment, perhaps, that is being done via a recruitment process, which businesses should be, utilising more and taking advantage of?
Personally, I think businesses recently now are trying to be more inclusive. For example, just to put it into layman's, you might go into someone now and you'll see that they have like a sensory time slot, or I went to the bank the other day and they've got a neurodiversity friendly hour. And I personally think that that's sort of missing the mark of what neurodiversity is. By saying at 1 hour on a Thursday, we're going to create an environment that we're going to dim the lights and turn off the background noise. We're now neurodiverse friendly. We're inclusive. I think that misses the mark. I think that sort of says, it almost segregates more than includes, I think, by giving 1 hour. Instead, what I think they should be doing is understanding that neurodiversity is a complete snowflake. It's like a spectrum. No two brains are the same. So it's by understanding that it can present itself in different ways you might not know. It's being able to be compassionate when they are approached. And then going back to the recruitment process, having a better understanding of what neurodiversity is might make you a little bit less dismissive. So if you're asking a question, or you're using a bit of sarcasm, and it's not landing, it's not thinking, gosh, that person's got no person skills, or they're a bit blunt, or they're quite forthcoming. It's actually giving the opportunity to look a little bit deeper and think, right, is there something else? Is there a different communication method here? And it's actually, in a nutshell, being comfortable for someone to feel comfortable enough to say, I'm neurodiverse, I've got ADHD, or I've got autism. Here are my strengths, here are my weaknesses, but this is how we can make it work.
And from your experience as well, in the work that you do with Nelly's Nest, is there any particular skill set, please, educate me as well as everybody who's listening, but educate me more. Is there any particular skill set where it, which is quite, could be utilised again in a business, or, a career opportunity for somebody who is neurodiverse?
Absolutely. So if we think of neurodiversity as this like spider's web, and all neurodiversity is having a spiky profile. So neurodiversity is having areas of extreme strength and some areas of weakness. We all have it in a certain sense, but on a neurodiverse profile, it might be really, really deep troughs and high peaks. So somebody that's neurodiverse might excel in maths, timekeeping, problem solving, really high areas of expertise, may struggle in social communication. Okay. And that could create their spiky profile. No two spiky profiles are the same, going back to that snowflake analogy. But if we understand that person and we get to know their profile, we can see what their areas of strength are and their areas of weakness are, and we can make a business that works for them, and it actually will work for the business as well. I think sometimes businesses see it as a challenge rather than as a benefit. It is such a benefit to have people with neurodiversity, because with that they might have areas of real interest. We know some people with autism have their special interests, and once they're involved in something, they will know everything about it. And it's about like taking someone for what they are, and not putting too much pressure on the other areas. So I know that's hard in a business sense, but when it's done correctly, it can be beautiful. A lot of what we do now is we sort of do careers advice. So with some of the older children that we work with, they might have someone that's got a special interest of trains, and that's very cliche, and I know that, but we do, and they might have know all the train times, platforms, everything off by heart. And, they're being kind of criticised in their education because they can't remember Shakespeare, or they can't do grammar properly, or they struggle with the spelling. But what they know is so strong in one area that if that was then put into, a railway, or doing something with trains going down that route, they would be an expert in their field. And it's just about giving that chance to people. But on a flat surface, what it basically means to your average business is it's just having a little bit of a broader understanding, and then taking people for what they are, and being more compassionate during that recruitment process, during the day-to-day life, and making sure that as long as people are having their needs met within the workplace, very minor adjustments. It's not necessarily getting ear defenders or noise cancel or turning down the lights. It's nothing like that. It's actually having an understanding and saying, how can we work with you? Because actually, like we said, they have got extreme areas of strength that they want to utilise. It's there, it's ready to go. So yeah, definitely.
And you mentioned there again, like certain skills and skill sets and everything, but what about industry sectors then? Is it more of a creative? Is it more of a manufacturing, technology, science perhaps?
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of neurodiversity, there is, it is categorised as you can have the the people that are really interested in certain areas such as technology. You can have children that are absolute whiz at problem solving. I've done lessons in front of the head teacher before, where I've done a maths problem and I've thought to myself, this is going to really challenge them, and they've looked at it and been able to answer straight away, and it's almost like a magic trick. You think, how is that even possible? It's just that executive function, and their brain's able to focus on one area, but that's why some other areas are missed. And I don't want to say that they'd be better in one field than the other, because I think once you've met one neurodiverse person, you've only met one neurodiverse person. And what we know about it is that it's so different from one person to the next. But because of their outside of the box thinking, it does stem for creativity. Because that they are focused on one area, it does create skill sets in areas such as technology or data analysis, because they can pick up on problems that we might miss. They're great in even hospitality, which is an area of weakness for some people with autism, but could be an area of strength for some people with autism, because they could really enjoy communicating and create strong bonds and relationships. It really is different from one person to the next, and that's sort of what I'm trying to do with the Nelly's Nest with the training side of things, is to show that neurodiversity doesn't just mean one sort of person and what the media's presented it, and we've got a lot of misogyny and unravelling to do from what's been presented of autism and neurodiversity so far. But to unravel that and to put it back onto a playing field, and to say, once someone's interested in you, and once you understand them better, it's only going to create a better business environment and a better culture.
Yeah, and you know, there's something that you mentioned earlier as well about whether you went into a bank and this and the other, and you know, certain organisations, I've seen this popping up quite a bit. We're going to have a quiet hour, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But from what you're saying, yes, okay, thank you, but that isn't actually, again, going back to all what you just mentioned there about skill set, and it's not creating opportunities for the, you know, for the wider generation, for wider people.
Exactly. So what I must say though is, I think it's a start, and I think people are trying, and that's always well received. So putting on that hour, that sensory hour, that dim lighting hour, is always going to be well received, and it's going to hit a demographic of neurodiverse people 100%. So definitely don't not do it. Sorry. But that being said, you need to also train your staff on what neurodiversity looks like. If you're going to welcome in this demographic of people and say we're here, we see you, but then not teach your staff about what it really means and what it can look like, how it can present yourself, how you can meet their needs during... It can be as simple as this. It can be seeing someone struggling during a conversation. You know, their eyes are looking elsewhere, they might be fiddling with something, or, you know, using a fidget or a sensory resource. It's as simple as saying, shall we just have this chat in that room over there? That's the difference. And actually, it's a really inexpensive, quick fix that business can do. And every single business I've been into now so far to do the training, I've been like, wow, I didn't know it was that it was that. I thought that we were going to have to do this X, Y, and Z, or have lighting changes, or no, it's none of that. That's a misconception. It helps a demographic, but it doesn't meet the needs of everyone that's neurodiverse. But yeah.
And what about, you know, other things that businesses can do as well? You know, what's working with young people. Do you come across young people who are perhaps getting opportunity to go in and do, I mean, call it work experience, but work placements in businesses? Is that becoming more and more open now? Yeah,
so what we do is, one of the ladies that we work with, part of the Nelly's Nest, she'll go in and she'll say to businesses, you know, we've got a neurodiverse young adult that's approaching the end of college and looking for some work experience, and we'd like to try a few different areas and see what they enjoy just as much. But as part of that, you'd find that the businesses actually really enjoy it too. And neurodiversity can present itself in beautiful ways. And some of the young adults that are going into these businesses are then giving new ideas of ways of things working. If you think of like Henry Ford, he created the production line. He completely blew a different way of doing things that is now a norm. And this is what a lot of neurodiverse people are capable of. They're a way of paving a new way for businesses by thinking outside of the box. And if we teach more in schools, that has a domino effect on the families, and then has a domino effect on the families and businesses that they work in. And it's just, like I said, I'm like a tiny drop in a massive ocean of work that needs to be done. But it's a start. And this is why classrooms and young adults going into businesses and organisations and events are great places, because it's a domino effect.
And what about events, Josie? I mean, I'm going to be totally honest, I've seen your profile and I know you've spoken at various events with what you're trying to do and raise awareness with Nelly's Nest. But what about events then, where people can get involved or a business can get involved in? Oh,
brilliant. So it's a really fun side of what we do. So we do attend organised events and festivals, and we set up what we call the regulation space. So it's just a safe place for people to come and take a minute from the crowds. But from that, it then unravels, and a lot of businesses attend there, and a lot of the festival goers, or the safe welfare team, will get involved with what we're doing. And we set up these events for neurodiverse children and adults, or coffee mornings. But in a business sense, what that means is we're then encroaching on the wider community. We're getting our name in other places, and the more people know, the more people grow. And I know that's really cliche, but I think if people just hear about us and attend these events and actually come and they realise that, it's amazing. Neurodiversity is so colourful, and it's so diverse, and the different strengths and the different abilities of so many different people is something to really coin in on rather than to avoid.
Yeah, and I think as well, whether it's attending an event, where they can come and talk to you, is not being afraid to come and ask questions.
Yeah, I love questions, and obviously...
It's a good job.
Yeah, I know, in the right space. I absolutely love being asked questions, and I love pushing myself and finding out new things, because there is so much to learn. I'm in no way a neuroscientist. This is just a complete frustration-based passion of wanting people to understand more. But a lot of the times the questions that are getting asked are, relating to people's self or late diagnosis or wanting HCPs. But then it does go into businesses, and businesses are wanting to know, how can this impact my staff? How can this impact my customers? Every business that we go into, we try and tailor the training to meet the needs of that business, whether it's an hairdresser's, a gym, a football stadium, or a school. We completely tailor the training to meet the needs of the people that are listening to it. And we'll say, you might have these type of employers or these type of customers that need this type of communication or need this type of adjustment made. And they're also reasonable and, like I said originally, inexpensive. And this is how you do it. And I think people have moments like, you know what I mean, light bulb.
Yeah. So one last thing, Josie, before you go, I'm just going to ask you, and I don't want to put you on the spot or anything here, but if you've got anything, just one really important message that you would like to put out there, whether it's for an educational establishment or it is for a business listening who does want to know more and learn more, what would you say?
So I'd just say, be mindful that neurodiversity, it's such a wide demographic of people, and there's constantly people getting more diagnoses, so it's so out there. To say that your business is not impacted by neurodiversity is incorrect. You will have a neurodiverse customer base, employee base, management base, or a family base that are impacted by neurodiversity. So by broadening your understanding and accepting that it's out there and welcoming knowledge or to bettering your business or yourself to get an education, you're bettering every aspect of your business, whether it's the customer facing roles, whether it's meeting the needs of the employees or being a better employer. It's everything from the ground up, and I think that's what people need to be mindful. Having a little bit of training, like I say, is a drop in a massive ocean, but gosh, does it have a ripple effect. And that's what I'd say.
Josie, thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. That's Josie from Nelly's Nest here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonia Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.